Good evening, everyone. I'm Nathan, here with my wonderful wife, Laura.
Hello!
And we're here to do a review of the Game of Life board game, specifically the 1977 edition.
Yes we are. I don't know whether you can tell, but it's quite a big version of Game of Life. It's quite a long box.
Yeah, the reason I also mentioned the year is what's weird about the Game of Life, almost every iteration of it has some sort of different rules or gameplay.
Well, maybe not everyone, but like every sort of different, I guess, decade or so, there
Yeah.
seems to be different rules. So this one is quite different from, like, the modern version that I grew up playing.
Yeah, so alright.
Still essentially the Game of Life, of course.
If you don't know what the Game of Life is, you've got to go through life and end your life with the most amount of money, pretty much.
Exactly.
The short sort of story.
Yep, exactly. So let's open it, I guess. We're going to try as best we can to kind of show you. The board is quite big, so...
And it's 3D.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
So here's the instructions. We'll have a scan of it below in our repository.
Link down here.
It's probably important because, like I said, and Laura said, it's plays quite differently. We'll also have the assembly instructions down below. This is one of those assemble once sort of board and put away.
Yes, so it stays together in the box, already put
So
in.
I believe we're missing some sort of inner tray, but...
Yeah, so the instructions refer to like a tray that the banker can keep like the money and everything in. We don't have that.
No.
There's not a lot of extra space in the box, so I'm not sure. It can't have been very big, I don't think.
So let's just get all the bits and pieces out. We'll show the board first.
Alright, so if you're familiar with the Game of Life in general, you're probably familiar with the spinner. This is definitely not different.
The spinner is pretty much
newer ones.
the same for most of them. You got a little plastic tack. You spin it, and it stops, and there you go.
Whatever it's on, that's what you move forward. So we also have, you just sit it down like that, little 3D buildings. So in the newer version that I have, that I bought, you actually take these out every time and have to assemble them. This particular version, you put them in, as you said, and stay in.
I mean, theoretically, you can take them out, but it's not really designed for that.
No, you might end up sort of damaging the area. Alright, so we have those buildings there. This is that's the university, and this is the retirement area after we get to the Day of Reckoning. That's sort of the end of the board
It's a lot more harsh, this one, compared to the later ones. We'll get to that soon.
It is. We have the church or chapel there. We have a few different sort of mountainous areas that you can drive over there. Alright, and we might have to...
We have a toll bridge, which is also not in the later ones.
No. Well, the bridge is still there.
But not a toll bridge.
Not the toll part. So this one has, again, another 3D sort of mountainous piece. Oh, one of them is falling. Oh, there goes the spinner. The spinner does come out quite easily, that part. The base doesn't.
Some sort of factory.
Another mountain. You can probably see, before you turn, like, the interesting sort of artwork.
It's got that 70s retro sort of look about it, doesn't it?
There's a lot of detail on it. I mean, there's a little whale down here in the water. Someone... Oh, that doesn't
sunbathing.
Sunbathing. We've got a really big goat next to a greenhouse.
We have this one here says a sun, collect presents, and it's just a sun in the middle of the road, as you do.
Of course. Well, there's a little girl over here. So lots of like interesting little bits and bobs to kind of look at. So if we can come back maybe to the start, Nathan. Nathan's doing a really good job holding this up around the camera.
My arms are long and sore.
Alright, so this is where we start, and you can probably see there's quite a few different coloured spaces. So each different colour, those spaces are done in a different way.
They each have a function. The other thing which we'll get to is, unlike the later ones, there's no like career cards and house cards and all that.
No.
Most of it's just money.
And your memory.
Yeah.
So we all start here. The white spaces are optional spaces.
So if you pass on them or if you go by them, you can
either land or pass.
Yeah, you can choose to do what it says or not. It's up to you.
So with this one, if you want a car insurance policy, you can pay $500. You don't have to. The last time we played, we didn't really end up needing a lot of our insurance, but that's, depends on what you land on, of course.
So the later ones, you can buy insurance sort of whenever, before your turn you roll. This one, there's only this spot. If you don't buy car insurance now, you don't have a chance to buy it again. That's it.
That's correct. So if you don't know, the insurance can protect you from things that might happen on the board. So maybe there's a space that says you have a car accident, for example. If you've got insurance,
Although
then that pays for it instead of you paying for it.
We found with this one, there was ones like, if you happen to have the car insurance, get this much money. Rather than something bad happen. It's just, if you happen to own it, get money. So...
All right. So the yellow spaces you only follow if you actually land on them. So they're general things. So you might need to pay something because your car is being repaired. You might receive some money because you wrote a thesis.
So they're usually positive or negative. Some of them make you miss a turn. Some of them make you move back some spaces or something. So they're just general spaces. Follow directions.
Yep. The red spaces, you do need to do those. And that is whether you land on them or just go past them.
So they're similar to the white, except you have to action them once you pass or land on them.
Yeah, so this is, you have an option here. You can probably set little arrows at the start, whether you want to go to university or go straight into business. So if you were to come this way, you do have to pay receive 1,000 for a scholarship. Who wouldn't want that?
And then you immediately have to pay tuition fees of $1,500.
Exactly.
It's a lot cheaper they're back then than it was now.
I'll say. So even if you skip them and say landed over here, these still have to happen if you go past them. If you go the other way though, through the business section, you win a competition. So, I mean, that's always nice. The paydays are the red colour spaces because, of course, you have to get your paydays if you go past them. If you forget your paydays, well, I mean, you're in trouble, aren't you? You need the money.
So in the later ones, they function differently. They've got like career cards and things. And some career cards, pardon me, you can only take if you happen to go to university or college.
Yes.
This one, basically, once you come around university, you land on one of these particular jobs, a doctor, journalist, lawyer, teacher, physicist, or if you happen to miss them all, you just get a university degree and get a base salary of $6,000.
Yes. So whichever one you land on here, or if you don't land on one, that's going to be your salary for the entire game every time you pass a payday.
There isn't, go on.
I was going to say, you have to remember what value you were earning because like Nathan said, there's no career cards to have that information on it and remind you, so you have to just remember and make sure everyone else remembers so you don't have any arguments later. No, that wasn't your salary.
There is a couple of spaces which let you change your salary, I believe, on the board.
That's very rare.
It's very rare, but yeah, so there's no cards to pick, there's no randomness, and there's no taking a loan when you go to university. Later ones make you take a loan of X amount, you take a promissory note.
Yeah, you do start with enough money here to like pay your tuition fees if you go to university.
Yeah, so...
if you decide to go straight into business, then your salary is going to be, I think it was $5,000.
I think $5,000.
Every time you go past a payday. We found going the other way was better because then you do have a substantially higher pay.
You don't have to take a loan. So you're pretty much,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, you don't have to play any way you want, but if you go that way, you just get a job instantly.
Yep.
And every payday is $5,000.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. All right, so there is one other coloured space. I'm just trying to find one. Where's the orange? Do we have an orange anywhere? There.
So the orange one, you have to land on for it to action like a yellow. This particular one is sue for damages. So if I land on it, then I can sue another player and
of your choice.
Of my choice, and demand either $100,000, or if they don't have the amount of money, that player then has to move back 10 spaces.
Yes. You can alternatively demand that they move back 10 instead of requesting the 100,000, but I mean, to me, that seems kind of foolish. I think you want the 100,000 if they've got it.
This particular version actually does favour people that do move a bit quicker, I think, through the board. There's a couple of functions and features where the first person that passes it gets a bonus or something like that. So
yeah.
I can see how moving another player back 10 may help, but 100,000 is quite a substantial amount in this game.
It's a chunk of money, yeah, especially if your salary is only 5,000. So, all right, just coming back here, same as in the more modern versions, we do have a space where you have to stop, even if you've rolled a bigger number, and that is to get married.
There's only two of them, Day of Reckoning, which is right at the end, and the Get Married are the two stop spaces in the game.
Yeah. So when you do that, you stop, get married, you put an extra peg in your car to represent the person you're marrying, which we'll show you in a minute. They're fairly similar to the modern
they're
ones.
pink for girls and blue for boys.
Yes, you can choose whoever you like though.
They specifically mentioned that.
Yes. So you stop there and do that. You might see it says collect presents.
Yes.
You get wedding presents.
So depending on what you spin, I think it's like 1 to 3, you get $1,000 from each player.
No, yeah.
And then 4 to 6, I think you get 500 from each player, and 7 to 10, you get nothing.
Because you were greedy, maybe.
Apparently.
So after you've done everything you need to do here, maybe collecting pay if you've been past that as well, you're going to roll again to go on your honeymoon. So essentially just another roll.
Yep.
So you keep moving through the board, following along, doing all of those things. If you are to maybe come through here and land on a payday, you actually get to pick up a card as well, which they can then have some benefits. So we'll show you those cards.
They've got a
after.
specific name, but we found they were pretty useless.
We didn't use them, yeah. But again, we'll show you those in a minute. You do buy a house in this version, whereas again, there's no house cards.
No, you just pass it, you pay $15,000, and then
I guess you just have a house and it's never mentioned again.
the red spaces, some of them also have tax demand, which is pay half your salary. There's one just here. So whatever your salary is, you pass it and you have to pay half of it.
For your taxes.
And the other, there's some paydays with pay interest if you happen to have any loans out.
Yes. Again, we'll mention the loans shortly. Other than that, you just continue around the board. If you're coming around here, you can see there's a bit of a fork in the path. The shape of this, again, is quite similar to all the modern ones. They haven't changed the path very much.
I did find with the path in later versions, if you're here and you get a 6, if you go and you land here and it's a -1, you'll find that's probably a -1 on the opposite path. This one, it's easier to just take a path that's positive, pretty much.
Yeah. So you keep working through all of that. There's several children spaces, which if you do land on to have a child, you also get a present from all other players as well. Which
$500 per child.
Yep. If you have twins, you get 1,000. So we make our way zigzagging all the way through over to the toll bridge here. If you're the first person over the toll bridge and you don't get moved backwards for any reason, then everyone else who passes the toll bridge after you has to pay you $20,000.
Which I'm not entirely sure that's how life works, but we'll just roll with it.
Haha, I aged first, pay me.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons where being first is at least beneficial in this game.
Yeah, I mean, 20,000 might not make a difference depending on how you've gone in the game, but it could do, you never know. Alright, we make our way all the way around here to the second stop space, which is the Day of Reckoning.
Yeah,
very ominous.
So basically, you either want to... Most people want to retire at the Millionaire's Mansion. You don't want to be declared destitute and disgraced, reduced to living on Social Security. That's very,
sorry to anyone who is living on that.
Very, very politically correct. So you basically...
this sort of wording would not work in this day and age.
So basically, you need to choose whether... I think everyone basically wants to be there if you've got enough money.
Yeah, so the idea is to look at the cash on hand and think whether you have more cash in your hand than the other players or less cash. If you think you have more cash, you're going to want to keep moving on your next turn to retire.
Mansion, yacht, and champagne for breakfast.
If you do decide to go this way, but then someone else passes you, I think there was a penalty. We'll have to double check that. Otherwise, if you don't think you've got enough money, you're headed this way, and then you're not going to win. So I mean, if you've got any hope of winning, you may as well head towards the
I actually beat Laura with less money. There's actually one more function you can do. So if you get here and you go, I really don't think I've got enough money than the other players.
You can take a huge risk.
It's called, you can become a millionaire tycoon.
Yes.
You basically put all your money, and if you've got no money, you put your car on a single number.
Yeah, so we have a big cardboard strip with all the numbers of the spinner, and you pick one.
And then you spin, and if you happen to land that number, you win automatically.
Yes.
And if you don't, you lose automatically.
Yes. So that's worth doing if you don't think you have enough money.
Which I didn't.
No, Nathan didn't think he had enough money to beat me last time we played. So he went for that and he spun his number.
I'm the millionaire tycoon.
Yes, so that's an auto win, which is kind of a bit silly. It's like you've taken the time to play the whole game and then that happens. It's like, Otherwise, if you do that and you don't get your number, then you are declared destitute and you're not in the running to win.
Can I put the board game?
The board down, yeah.
My hands are sore.
Just one other thing on that note, if everybody goes ahead to the millionaire space because you think you can compete with your cash on hand, then at the end of the game, after everyone is finished, you count up your money and that person with the highest is the winner.
So yeah, that's the general basis of it. There's a couple of oddities. There is speculating on the stock. So there's a space on the board where you can actually buy stock.
Yes.
So how about we take a look at the insurance and stock?
Yes, so there's all different sorts of insurance on those white spaces throughout the board and stock, as Nathan mentioned.
So basically, you pass them, you can choose to buy
Insurance
or stock.
So fire, there protects you from any fire-related ones, and some of the spaces then refer to them. You can buy stock, which sometimes can help you make more money.
It's actually a lot more useful in this game, I think, than in later games, because even if you don't speculate, there's several spaces saying that if you do own stock, you get quite a hefty bonus.
Yeah. You have life insurance. Now, if you do buy life insurance and then you don't need it on any of the spaces and you have it at the end of the game, that's worth an extra $3,000, which isn't really much in the scheme of things.
No, not near the end.
And that's the auto car insurance that you can buy right at the start. So if you buy one, you just hold on to this until you need it, and then you might hand it back into the bank should one of the spaces refer to using it up and returning it.
So I think if you pass, there's a couple of the white spaces, you can't see the reflection. It's a white space, you can speculate if you own stock. You basically put the stock lengthways.
So if you own one, yep, you put it here over the 4, 5, 6.
You spin. If you spin and it's 1, 2, 3, the market is down, you lose 25,000. If it's 4, 5, 6, the market is steady. You don't.
Nothing happens.
7, 8, 9, you get 50,000.
7, 8, 9, 10.
10.
Yes, then the stock market is up. So it can be beneficial, but I just kept losing every time I speculated on the stock market.
There's also a lucky day space where you get 10,000 and two $5,000 notes. You stick them on any two numbers on that thing. You spin. If it happens to be those two numbers, you get 150,000.
So that's quite a lump sum.
And if you don't happen to spin it, you just don't get the 10,000. So
you just put it back in the bank.
I think it's well worth the risk of that particular space.
Agreed, unless you're desperate.
Unless you're desperate. And there's also a gambling aspect. I think at any point before your turn, you can choose to pick a number, put money on it, spin, and then...
And just gamble in general. We didn't really bother doing that because there's already so much going on in the game.
Yeah.
This one's probably a little bit more complicated than some of the newer versions.
There's quite a lot of steps, especially if you roll a big number. You have to do quite a lot of memorization and all that.
You have to remember every single red space you've gone past to do, any white spaces you've gone past, because you don't have to land on them to activate them. So there's a lot going on.
So let's just get a couple of cars out. I think these are...
The cars haven't really changed aside from, I guess, like the general design of the car. They're just a little...
plastic sort of coloured cars.
Yep. Lots of different colour options there. So you can choose what you'd like. And the pegs for the people are, again, pink and blue, like they still are, I believe, in the game. These ones are fairly long and flimsy.
So they're hard, they sort of fall out a lot.
Yeah, you kind of have to have two hands while you're putting them in. You can't sort of chill and just whack them in. So that's those.
We have the promissory notes.
Promissory notes.
Promissory.
Yeah.
These just function as loans. You have to pay the loan back plus, I think, 5,000 per 20,000.
Yep, you can borrow them at any time from the bank. You can't borrow them to gamble. You can only borrow them for, like, paying a space.
Here are the cards.
Hang on. Sorry. So if you land on the... go past the payday with pay interest due, it's like a little extra line, and you have promissory notes, you have to pay 10% of them in addition to that. So you want to try and get rid of those as quickly as possible so there's no interest due. We
have the red cards, which you get if you land on a red payday. You keep them with you.
So they're the share the wealth cards.
And basically, when you land in a white pay space, give this card to any player. He will pay you half the amount you pay to the bank.
So that's, I mean, there's not a lot of those sort of spaces on the board. So the cards... Yeah.
Exemption card just basically like a block. So if someone tries and gets something from you or steals something, you just go no. I think there's one more. Give the player collect space. He will pay you half the amount he collects there. Yeah, so if somebody else lands on one to get money, you can say, oh, I'd like half of that. But again, you can be blocked if they have one of the block share the wealth cards. And you only get them if you end your turn actually on
a payday space, which doesn't really happen that often.
No, so they're the only 3, so they're not that useful. You do start with 1 at the start of the game, though. Here are the denominations. You got 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. Wait, there's more.
I think you missed the low end, didn't you?
You got 500.
Yep.
And 1,000.
So lots of different denominations, so you can work out all the different things. This one is definitely a game of life that you kind of have to really want to play and have people who want to play, because there is a lot of little bits and bobs and lots to remember. I think a lot of the modern ones have simplified it a little bit.
And all that, yeah.
Or have like more cards to cue reminding you of things. So I think it's cool. I love the game of life.
We had fun. We had fun when we sort of played a few times. So, but yeah, that's the 1977 edition of Game of Life.
From John Sands specifically.
I think it's published by John Sands in Australia, but it's developed by Milton Bradley.
Elsewhere, yes. If you enjoyed watching this video, give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments section down below what your favourite version of Game of Life is. Maybe it's like, oh, you loved the one from the 80s or 90s, or it could be like a totally different themed one, like Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that.
A 40th anniversary edition?
Yeah, that's the one I had and played regularly. Yep. Hit that subscribe button and check back soon so you don't miss any of our new videos.
Sounds good.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.